an agenda. And contrary to the establishment's advice, we're not hiding it from the people or from the media or from you. It's time for the Republican Party to stop talking about Ronald Reagan and start acting like him.
That got a big response. That was Utah Senator Mike Lee firing up conservatives at CPAC last week, stressing the need for a new agenda for the Republican Party, he says, in order to win both the 2014 midterms and then go on to win the White House in 2016, which is, of course, what they would like to do. And Senator Lee joins us now. Good morning, Senator. Good to have you here today.
Good morning.
Let's start by taking a look at the straw poll that came out on Sunday on the last day of CPAC. And here's how it stacked up. Rand Paul with 31%, Senator Ted Cruz at 11%, Ben Carson got 9%, Chris Christie got 8%. It's interesting to note that, so some of the party's stars like Paul Ryan and Marco Rubio barely registered in this vote. What do you make of that?
Well, it certainly is a strong performance by my friend Rand Paul, and I congratulate him on that. It's difficult to know exactly what this means as far as 2016 goes, but this does show a strong performance by Rand Paul, and I don't know at this point exactly who's going to run and who isn't, but Rand Paul is certainly off to a strong start with the CPAC crowd.
You talked about acting like Reagan instead of talking about Reagan. And you have sort of been characterized as someone who has obviously a lot of Tea Party support, but also wants to create a real reform agenda. Where do you think that needs to start?
Well, I think it needs to start with Republicans, particularly Republicans in Congress, in both houses, putting forward a conservative reform agenda, one that builds on conservative ideals, is consistent with the message of conservatism, and explaining to the American people how it is that conservatism can benefit the poor and the middle class. There's a natural tension that exists in any political party between its base and its elected leadership. And right now that hole in our party is exactly the size and the shape of this kind of pro-middle class, anti-poverty agenda. It's a conservative reform agenda, and I think that will help us move forward to victory in 2014 and 2016.
One of the races that is coming up tomorrow, actually, in Florida is one that people are watching really closely with David Jolly and Alex Sink. And right now, she seems to be ahead in this poll at 46%. But people are kind of using it as a bellwether, an early indicator of whether or not the anti-Obamacare vote is going to be enough to push Republicans over the edge in some of these elections. What do you think?
Well, I think Obamacare is going to continue to be an important issue. The American people don't like it. It's making health care less affordable, and it's going to result in a lot of people losing their jobs. But it's not enough for us simply to be against Obamacare. It's not enough for us simply to be against what President Obama is trying to do. We also have to be for something. This was a lesson that we learned from Ronald Reagan, who lost in 1976 and then won in 1980 when he came back with an agenda.
But if there's one thing on that agenda that you think can kind of close that gap, that you think is a very strong message that will bring people into your fold, what is it?
The message of conservatism will help the poor and help the middle class. Conservative policies facilitate upward economic mobility, which is what has made America a desirable place to live, which is what has made America the envy of the modern world. And that's why we need to explain what conservatism is and how it helps people to better their station in life.
Why do you think Rand Paul gets so much attention? Obviously, it's a younger crowd, 18 to 25. The NSA issue and having their smartphone free from anyone's surveillance seems to be resonating with them in a big way. And also a very isolationist foreign policy. How do you think about those two things?
Yeah, younger Americans, which do tend to like CPAC, really are very concerned about keeping the government out of their lives, out of their phones, out of their pocketbooks, and out of their lives in as many ways as possible. And so the message that has been loudly proclaimed by Rand Paul resonates very, very well with this crowd.
All right, we'll see.